Pat Gray is here on the Blaze Radio Network.
Okay, we can't even make it to the start of the show anymore before we're so out of our minds with rage over what's going on.
This world,
we
man.
can barely even speak.
I'm glad the mics weren't on 5 seconds earlier.
Yeah.
I can't, man. Pat, the world is so insane. Everything, if you put every topic, everything going on, every current event in a hat and pulled it out at random, you'd lose your mind just discussing it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter what you just if you randomly put your finger on anything to your left there in the stack, it'll drive you insane just thinking about having to speak about it. Unless you go with the animal video with the otter, but I mean, we're
gonna need that later.
He's got an attitude. But I mean, seriously, we were just talking off air. I mean, you're the captain, so pilot this ship. Take us through, man, because it's
hard to know where to start because the insanity it literally is everywhere on everything. It's a madhouse. A madhouse. I'm not really sure how we get it back. Standing up where we can and just saying no. And I don't care what you call me anymore. I don't care what you think of me. You can label me whatever you want. But this has to stop. It just has to stop. Wait till we show you Joe Biden's press conference yesterday where he talked about guns and crime. Okay, if you missed that, we're only going to play a little bit of it because I can only stand a little bit of it. But then we found this report about January 6th that is just mind-numbing. It's just because the catastrophic spin they give to January 6th, like it's the worst event that's ever happened. And to even refer to it as an insurrection is just so ludicrous. Okay, a bunch of people came there unarmed for an insurrection? Really? What a stupid group of insurrectionists.
Way to plan ahead. I mean, if you're going to overthrow a government, it's like when you're getting in the truck headed down to the Capitol to take over the most powerful nation on earth. I mean, does someone think to go, hey, wait, who brought the guns? Who
brought the gun? Anybody got the machine gun?
What? I thought you had the guns. No.
I've got me some bear spray back here.
Oh, well.
I was just out in the woods over the weekend. Maybe we could use some bear spray to take over the government. Can we do that? Yeah, that ought to work, Billy Joe.
Seriously.
Bear spray.
Bear spray. That'll do it.
So, and I'm tired of saying I don't want to minimize it, but because they have maximized it to the point where it has to be pulled back the other way. This is a tug of war going on right now. And we just need to pull it back our way. A lot. And I'm just so frustrated about these people who are in these. We ended the show yesterday by talking about some of the people who are being held and the conditions in which they're existing right now because they were participating in January 6th. They are in squalor and barely being fed and are essentially being tortured by officials. Some of them need medical care desperately, and they won't give it to them.
Yeah. Yeah, if these were Islamic jihadists caught on the battlefield in the Middle East 20 years ago and sitting in a Gitmo cell, this is exactly, they would have backers on the left, that's for sure.
Oh, the ACLU would be screaming at the top of their lungs. But the ACLU doesn't even fight for. I mean, if you're not a leftist, they don't care about your plight. They don't care what's happened to you. So I mean, they're almost all in now as just a political organization, an arm of the Democrat Party. They really don't even make bones about it anymore. But we got this tweet from is it a tweet? Yeah, it is a tweet from Caleb Hull.
Oh, yeah. Caleb Hull's
about
journalist,
the carjacking in D.C.
Well, he's
carjackings are up by 30%, right?
Yeah, crime's bad everywhere, right? It's on the increase everywhere.
And meanwhile, here in Dallas, Texas, this took place during a carjacking.
Oh, hey, what's up?
I'm going to put my gun down when they pull up.
I love
So did this guy try to carjack him?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, he thought he was gonna jump in my car and pull out. And it's a stick. Can you even drive a stick?
That'd be me on the ground. Stick. So there you go. That's
Do the police ever show?
yeah, they show up. They take care of it. Yeah.
All right.
But that's good stuff right there.
That's great.
That's how we
Because the guy was armed. Oh, and there we go.
Ma'am, the officers are on the scene.
There you go. So
Yeah.
we're good. Thank you.
The
Just
officers are on the scene now.
Peacefully held him there.
Yep.
All right.
Didn't beat him with it. Didn't shoot him.
Okay?
That was a happy ending. Right
Yeah.
there. And he learned that crime doesn't pay. Well, unless you live in Portland, Seattle, Minneapolis, New York, Los Angeles,
Unless you work
Chicago.
in the capital,
Yeah.
and crime pays every day.
Well, those guns are going to be the undoing of us because...
What do you mean? The guy just held the bad guy at gunpoint
I know,
until the police
that
arrived.
was the one instant where a gun didn't kill someone.
The what?
The
What?
one time where a gun was pulled and wasn't used to murder someone.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure. I'm
Can
pretty
we
sure of it.
cross-check that,
The way they
Corby?
talk about this on
Yeah.
the, from like the president, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure guns just kill people randomly for no apparent reason. So here's the president's speech. And where is this on CNN? I have not seen a single clip of this speech because they won't touch it because the guy is clearly gone. He's just out to lunch. And he's not coming back for dinner. So...
Well, he come back from pudding, right? Is he still doing that?
Yeah.
We barely got that still.
But here's what he had to say yesterday.
The Second Amendment, from the day it was passed, limited the type of people who could own a gun.
No,
What type of weapon you could own.
not true.
You couldn't buy a cannon. Those who say the blood of patriots, and all the stuff about how we're going to have to move against the
All
government.
right, pause.
Well, the tree-
So he starts down the blood of patriots.
Yeah.
Those who say the blood of patriots and all that stuff. All that stuff that, they talk about. And they say, the thing, etc. That's what he was doing there because he can't.
Just for the record, the
can't.
Thomas Jefferson quote is, "The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of tyrants."
Tyrants?
Tyrants.
Tyrants, not patriots.
Yeah.
Wow, that's misquoted a lot.
Yeah.
That is amazing. So anyway, let's start this over and just enjoy how sharp this president of the United
Enjoy.
States is.
The Second Amendment, from the day it was passed,
Oh, and by the way, no,
limited the type of people who could own a gun.
no, it
What
didn't.
type of weapon you could own.
Pause
You
it.
couldn't buy a cannon.
Show me that. I will quit my job if you can show me that in the U.S. Constitution. Show it to me.
You talking about the cannon clause?
Yeah, the no cannon clause in the U.S. Constitution. Right from the day one, limited the types of weapons you can show it to me. You can only have a musket, and it can only be a one-shot musket.
Yeah, one shot. Yeah, don't try to sneak it in through the loophole there. We can't have a two-shot musket.
Cannons shall not be used by the American populace. Show me that. Show me that.
I think you have to have like you squeeze lemon juice and do the hair dryer,
That's yes.
and then it magically shows up in the margin.
Ah, where's Nicolas Cage when you need him?
Yeah, well.
Or what was his name? Benjamin Franklin Gates.
Yes.
Benjamin Franklin Gates when you need him. Where is he?
Where is he?
All right, let's see the rest of this. If we
The
can get
Second
to it.
Amendment, from the day it was passed,
Okay.
limited the type of people who could own a gun.
And he remembers.
except no.
What type of weapon you could own.
No.
You couldn't buy a cannon. Those who say the blood of
Blood
blood
of liberty,
of patriots,
patriots,
and all the stuff about how
all
we're
that
going to have
stuff.
All that
to
stuff.
move against the government.
Ellipses.
Well, the tree of liberty is not water with the blood of patriots. What's happened is
What's happened
that
is
there never been, if you wanted to think you need to
What is
have
it?
weapons to take on the government, you need F-15s and maybe some nuclear weapons.
Whoa, was that a
The point
challenge?
is that there's always been
Did he just
the
challenge?
ability to limit,
Yeah,
rationally
he did.
limit the type of weapon that can be owned and who can own it.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
If you're an American citizen
Wow.
watching that yesterday, how good are you feeling right about now regarding your government?
Feeling pretty good, right?
Feeling good?
And there was more.
Background checks for purchasing a firearm are important. ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines.
Thank you.
No one needs to have a weapon that can fire over 30, 40, 50, even up to 100 rounds.
Bro.
1,000
Unless
million.
you think the deer are wearing Kevlar vests or something.
Unless you think the deer are wearing Kevlar vests or something. He stumbled onto this line a couple of months ago.
Did he?
And he's used it multiple
Oh, I've
times.
missed
He
this.
likes it.
Oh, he likes
it a lot.
this?
Yeah, he likes this. one.
Community policing and programs that keep neighborhoods safe and keep folks out of trouble. These efforts work. They save lives. Might add, the Second Amendment from the day it was passed limited the type of people who could own a gun and what type of weapon you could own.
No.
You couldn't buy a cannon. Those who say the blood of the
and here we
blood
go
of
again.
patriots.
Yeah,
You know.
we got that part. We already got that part.
I wouldn't be surprised if he just repeated the line like a robot.
Oh. I mean, this is always the lame straw man argument you get from these people. Every time they try to unconstitutionally take our guns from us, this isn't about the Second Amendment. I love the Second Amendment so much that I'd like to marry it.
Whoa.
But this isn't about that. It's about common sense. Can you own a thermonuclear intercontinental ballistic missile? No.
What? No,
No one needs to own intercontinental ballistic missiles. Am I right?
No,
Am I right? No one needs
Well,
that.
Mr. President.
Well, I've said too much.
Yeah.
You know, the thing, etc. The Second Amendment, this Kevlar vest on a deer thing. How many times do you have to tell them the Second Amendment's not about hunting? It's not. How hard is that to understand? Yeah. It is not about hunting. It's not the government's business to decide what we need to have as far as our guns are concerned. In this past year, we've seen how critical high-capacity magazines could be if you're really in trouble. If you have a massive mob coming for you,
right,
and your family, and you're there to protect your family, you'd be pretty happy to have a high-capacity magazine. That's where his get a shotgun. Just go get a shot. That's not going to work when there's 30 people coming at you.
How about a one-shot musket? That seems to be
the one-shot
all
musket.
The founders wanted us to.
Not quite as effective.
You don't think?
You might even like the cannon. The cannon might be helpful, but they said you couldn't have one. It's the cannon clause.
The no cannon clause?
The no cannon
clause. I contend, Mr. President, if I may.
You may.
That you are allowed to have that ICBM. It's just... The homeowners association is what stands in the way, as we've discussed previously on the program.
More powerful than any constitution.
Seriously. Yeah, the HOA
the homeowners association
trumps your constitution any day of the week.
Yeah, I tried to put a silo in my backyard.
Yeah,
but they wouldn't let me.
Was it a height restriction?
No, it was a color restriction. They didn't like the color I chose for it.
Well, then just paint it a different color.
I was going to do cement, and they didn't like that. So I said, well, I could paint it gray. No, I didn't like that either.
What about pastel?
No, I didn't want to. So I just scrapped the whole project.
What?
As a result,
gave up
As a result, I have no nuclear silo in my backyard now.
Well, you're missing out.
I am.
You got to move out into the country.
I know.
Where they don't have restrictions like that. It's ridiculous.
This old thing about you need to fight off the government. You need F-15s and nukes. No, you don't. That's bullcrap. Ask the Afghans. Ask Afghanistan how many nukes they needed to fight off one of the world's superpowers back in the 80s, the Soviet Union. How many nukes did they use? 0. How many nukes are they using right now against the world's only superpower, really? Us. No nukes. You don't need nuclear weapons to fight off the U.S. military. If you have an armed populace, controlling that armed populace for any length of time becomes virtually impossible because they harass you until you just can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
That's what happens. I mean, you're like Minutemen then from the Revolutionary War. You hit and you move. And that's what you would do as an armed populace if your government got out of control. You don't need tanks and nuclear weapons. It's just asinine. It's just, again, it's that straw man argument that they set up every time and expect you to cave because of it.
I mean, ask the Native Americans. I mean, that's what the U.S. government did. I mean, that was Wounded Knee, right? And trying to get the guns from them. It was 100 years after Britain tried to do. That's what started the Revolutionary War. Is when the British were headed to the storehouses of our guns
in Concord,
because they knew. They knew that if we weren't armed, that we couldn't defend our freedoms.
There's nothing you could do.
Right.
That's what the Nazis did in the very beginning. They disarmed the Jews. You couldn't own a weapon as a Jew. They disarmed the populace, and then they're free to control everybody. That's the first thing you do, is disarm people.
See, they had to plant this in our brains for the last 6 months in the American psyche that the government was almost overthrown. And now that they could get that narrative embedded, now they can pivot to gun control, which they needed for their base, because the day after they lost the For the People Act in the Senate, now they're like, oh crap, we got to get the base on board. Are we ready? Do we think that they're sufficiently conditioned from January 6th? Can we pivot to gun control? This is going to get ugly. And you got this decrepit, handsy buffoon in there reading whatever talking point they put on his teleprompter.
And he can't even do that.
Can't even do that.
Can't even do that.
Oh.
It's amazing to watch him. And they don't, I mean, CNN doesn't care. They're just like, they're ostriches. Their heads are buried in the sand here. And they will not look at the glaring problem in the White House. You've got a guy who's literally losing his mind right in front of us.
I mean, the Marxists could have chosen a more coherent vessel, but here we are.
They probably like it this way because they can control him.
That's true. That's true, too. But it's this spike in crime over the last year. They're going to attribute to you and me as law-abiding American citizens.
Exactly.
It's your progressive cities and the gun control policies in those towns that don't work. I mean, I tell you, the most fascinating fact in Glenn's book, Control, right? It's Control, the one on guns, right? That I think so. John Lott did with him. There's a fact in there that, oh my gosh, I got to just print it up, copy it, and tape it to the wall here. If you take out all of the progressive cities like New York, New Orleans, Chicago, take their crime stats out, and then do the per capita, we're nowhere near the top worldwide.
No, we're near the bottom.
It's the cities, man.
Yep.
Liberal cities.
That's exactly right.
Sorry. I told you,
no,
man.
we got ourselves worked up at about 4 this morning, and so it's a steam engine from now on. We're rolling over all of it today.
Yeah.
All right, let me tell you about Built Bar. It's swimsuit weather now, and so it's time to enjoy the official candy bar of swimsuit weather, Built Bar. Built Bar has 9 delicious flavors and the occasional limited time flavor. Talking about coconut almond, cherry, raspberry, mint brownie, peanut butter brownie, double chocolate, and salted caramel. There's literally something for everybody.
Yes, there is.
You could get a mixed box, too, and then you can try 2 of each of the 9 flavors. Built Bars aren't just the best-tasting protein bar out there. They're healthy, too. Most of the flavors have 17 grams of protein, only 130 calories, and just 4 grams of sugar, 4 grams of carbs. You can't beat that. And now you can get your Built Bars even faster. The new URL is built.com. So you don't have to put bar in there anymore.
Oh, nice.
Those 3 letters just, what did that take? A week and a half to put those in? Go to built.com. Use the promo code PAT15 to save 10% off your first order. Okay? Don't think about it too much. Use the promo code PAT15 for 10% off at built.com.
Beware. Pat Gray is unleashed.
So, as part of this madness, we've alluded to January 6th a few times. It's another thing we found prepping the show this morning. This report, WUSA, I think it's a DC TV station, talking about it was 100 days since January 6th.
Oh.
And the first guy had pled guilty. He pleaded guilty to some, I don't know. I think he pleaded guilty to a felony, but got less time than he would have otherwise gotten if he'd been convicted. And so they did this report.
It's hard to believe, but the insurrection at the Capitol was now 100 days ago. 5 people died, including a Capitol police officer.
Okay. They know what they're doing here with this deceptive 5 people died thing. Okay? They keep calling it deadly, and then they cite the death toll at 5. 4 of those 5 were heart attacks or strokes. Had nothing to do with the riot. Nothing whatsoever to do with it. The only person who was actually killed was an unarmed woman who was an immediate threat to no one, but was shot by Capitol Police anyway.
So much has happened since January 6th. There's extra security around the Capitol. Fencing is still there. So is the National Guard. And there have been a lot of arrests. More than 400 suspected rioters are facing charges for their roles in the attack. And we just learned about the first guilty plea in the insurrection.
Listen to the inflection
Schaefer
here on this guy.
pleaded guilty to multiple felonies.
Felonies?
That includes breaching the Capitol and obstruction of an official proceeding.
Oh,
the 53-year-old admits he forced his way into the Capitol to stop the certification of the Electoral College count while wearing a tactical vest and carrying bear spray. He also acknowledged...
He wore a tactical vest. Is that a crime? I'm sorry, I didn't realize the capital vest clause in the law.
Hold on.
No one may wear a tactical vest.
And he was brandishing bear spray.
And he was holding. He didn't even say it was brandished.
Yeah. Sorry, I colored the news there.
Yeah, brandished is threatening. He was just holding bear spray. You can't hold bear spray anymore?
I'm imagining a guy wearing a tactical vest running into the line of fire. I've got bear urine.
that he is a founding lifetime member of the Oath Keepers and agreed to cooperate against others in the case. Schaefer could face possible prison time of up to 30 years.
Up to 30 years? This guy's so excited that this person pled guilty now.
No kidding.
And he's
this guy...
No question where he stands, right?
He needs to get out more.
Yeah, he does.
I thought I was a loser. I don't even know what this guy...
So, because he had bear spray, and he went into the Capitol building, he could be in jail for 30 years now. Wow. So we didn't even hear about a crime there. It's not. I don't think it's a crime to wear a tactical vest. I'm pretty sure you could carry bear spray. I don't know if it's okay to spray it in the face of Capitol police officers. I'm pretty sure that's illegal. But they didn't say he did that. He just carried a can of it. Wow. It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. Well, what has happened to some of those 400 people who've been arrested? I think you'll be surprised to find one of their attorneys was speaking out. We were going to play this yesterday when we ran out of time. But listen to this attorney talk about the conditions that some of those people who've been arrested have been facing now for, 4 months?
6 months almost.
Right. Crazy. Listen to this.
And now there are 40 or 50 individuals who are in solitary confinement in conditions that I promise you are not pleasant.
Right.
And I want to talk about a few of them very quickly so you understand what's going on. One of my clients is named Christopher Worrell. He's from Florida. He has non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. It's getting worse by the day. He has not been permitted to see his oncologist.
Despicable.
He has not been permitted to receive any of the cancer treatments that have been prescribed for him by his own oncologist.
Pause it for a sec.
He has contracted.
Well, then he shouldn't have killed all those people.
Well, no, he did.
You know, he shouldn't have killed, 40 people there at the Capitol building? How many people did he kill?
No, you should listen.
Do you have the official toll? How many people did he kill, this guy with non-lymphoma Hodgkin's?
Yeah, so I listened to Pat Gray Unleashed, and he goes over this quite a bit.
Does he?
Nobody.
No.
He killed nobody.
Oh, he didn't kill anybody?
There's nobody.
Huh.
Nobody was killed.
Weird.
Pat.
Well, did he end our democracy?
No,
Is that what he did?
No,
did he end the democracy? Did he bring it down? Did he completely single-handedly bring it down?
No,
because if he did, he doesn't deserve treatment.
He probably put on a tactical vest
and brandished or walked around with bear spray?
Walked around with bear spray in the U.S. Capitol.
Well, there we go. All right, let's hear the rest of this.
He has contracted COVID.
Oh, my
and
gosh.
he is in serious danger.
Good golly.
I have another client that you may have heard of. His name is Ryan Samsell. Ryan was severely and viciously beaten.
What?
By a federal corrections officer while in pretrial detention, presumed innocent. He is blind in one eye. He's
From the beating?
Lost the use
That's what
of
it
an
sounds
arm.
like. Lost the use of
He
his
is in
arm.
a county jail in Rappahannock.
What in the hell?
He is not receiving the
torture.
MRIs he needs, the surgeries he needs to minimize the degree to which he will be crippled for life.
My gosh.
I have another
Was this
client
East
named
Germany now?
James McGrew, who is in pretrial detention, presumed innocent, who attempted suicide before he was arrested because of the stress and anxiety of worrying about being arrested. He now has 95% kidney failure.
Oof.
He desperately needs dialysis, and guess what?
He's not getting it.
He's not getting it.
How'd you know?
The final
Wild
person I want to
guess.
talk about
Took a stab.
is the ultimate example of political persecution. And I have my little wristband on here, Justice for Ashley Babbitt. And I can talk about that one. I can talk about that one a lot. There was one person that was killed at the Capitol that day.
Right.
Nobody wants to say her name.
I do.
They tried to cancel her post-mortem because she does not fit in with the narrative that there was an armed insurrection. She was unarmed. She was no immediate threat of serious bodily harm or death to anyone. The shooter, who it appears was part of Nancy Pelosi's personal security guard, was barricaded and behind cover. She was surrounded by Capitol police officers. And if you watch the video, it's very interesting. After he takes aim at her for about 30 seconds, they calmly walk away. Okay? If you want to talk about due process and deprivation of life without due process, look no further than Ashley Babbitt. That family deserves justice. The individual who shot her needs to be named.
Never has been.
And we cannot stop until that situation is rectified, because if we have a 14-year Air Force veteran who served in Iraq and Afghanistan show up in the United States Capitol unarmed and get killed by being shot in the neck, we do not live in a free country.
Now, should she have been breaking into the Capitol? No, she should not have. But shooting her in the neck like that does seem a tad extreme. When she was, as he pointed out, she was not an immediate threat to any of the officers or certainly any members of Congress. They were not there. They were clear down in the chamber, and they were cowering somewhere in their offices. They were well protected. They were away from this mob, and yet they won't even name the officer who shot her. Now, we found out since who it is, and he's been named on certain websites, but they don't publicly say it at all. They still have not admitted to it. If this, under different circumstances, there'd be riots in the streets over this, right? I mean, she was just dismissed from life, just like that. Weird, really weird situation. 888-900-3393. And we got some people probably fired up about gun control now, because our fearless, brilliant leader is talking about just some common sense reform.
Common sense.
That's all he wants, is just a little. I'm talking about the Second Amendment?
Yeah.
What do you mean? I'm just talking about taking your guns from you. It has nothing to do with the Second Amendment. Okay? I mean, get off me.
Pat Gray.
Welcome. 888-900-3393. Also at Pat Unleashed on Twitter, where Spunker1300R tweets. Pat, Should have painted a rainbow flag along with a BLM flag on his silo. Yeah. Right.
They would have let you keep it
Then I could have kept it. It's probably true. Hippie Patriot tweets, I think our current president and his administration have sorely underestimated how many Americans really know the Constitution and the amendments. Ugh, so tired of this crap. Yeah. Big Poppy tweets, according to Uncle Joe, if the Second Amendment meant only muskets and cannons, then the First Amendment must not apply to TV, radio, phones, and internet, as they didn't exist.
Brilliant take.
Yeah.
That's a
Good
brilliant
stuff.
Big Poppy. Think about that. The argument the left always makes about the Second Amendment? Well, they couldn't have known that we were going to have ICBMs.
Machine guns,
Yes.
nuclear weapons.
Oh, but they saw TV?
Airplanes. Yeah, right.
So the free press is only in the newspapers.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Asinine. Carl Smith tweets, will Joe Biden ever learn that whenever he steps to a microphone, his first words should always be, I've said too much.
Yeah, really.
Yes. Yeah. And then just step off the podium, leave, and then don't ever come back.
But you're
into
right,
our
man.
lives.
The Marxists that run that administration and thus this country right now, they have to thread that needle daily. They've
every
got
day.
their
Yep.
empty vessel, but he's too empty.
Yeah. Yeah. That's got to be tough for George. You know, Soros and the rest.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I'm sorry, wait, what did I say that out loud?
Yeah,
did I say
I
George Soros' name for some reason? That's
Okay,
weird. That's weird. I don't even know why.
It's kind of being generic.
I don't know why he occurred to me there in my thought process.
That's weird.
Huh. Must have been thinking of something else.
Like a funny joke.
Yes. Yeah, there was a joke about George Soros, Jeff Bezos, and Elon Musk walk into a bar. That's the one I was thinking of.
And the next thing you know, my Doge portfolio is crashing through the floor.
That's the punchline.
Thanks, Elon.
Let's go to Mike in Kentucky. Hey, Mike, you're on the Blaze.
Hey, Pat, how you doing?
Doing good.
Hey, I just want to let you know, first of all, I had a couple of comments about the gun control with Joe Biden. I'm a retired Marine first. And
Thanks
a lawyer,
for your service.
secondly.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome. No problem. My pleasure. So basically, my stance for gun control means hitting what you aim at. But legally speaking, when he's talking about the Second Amendment, well-regulated militia was at the time meant by the founders that the people should be able to have weaponry capable of sustaining, holding off an invading army. That means that the weapons should be able to be equal in combat to an invading army. So that basically means that any weaponry that the military has, that the federal government doesn't already have regulations stopping you, like you can't buy a machine gun without a specific license, then the population should be allowed to have. And keep in mind, at the time, England was having soldiers housed in people's homes.
Right.
So that was the idea of it. Now, when it comes to the Ashley Babbitt situation, I want to know where the FOIA request is for the internal investigation to determine why that was a lawful shooting, because he did not have any reason to suspect that he was under threat of serious bodily injury or death.
Absolutely.
So why was he why did he let a round go? And I know from being in the military that when you go out with a weapon, you have to account for every round that you take out on duty and when you come back into duty, and there has to be a report filed for every one of them. So that being a crime or not a crime, we don't know because we can't get the report. So why is that individual not being prosecuted? That's prosecutorial misconduct.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Mike. And nobody's talked about that for the previous 6 months. Nobody even mentions it. It's like, cop shot her. She had it coming. Did she, though? Did she?
I mean, they did talk about her in Congress last week. I don't know if you want to play that yet, but Representative Gosar of Arizona, he is not letting that go.
Yeah, let's see it.
He's a good guy.
The gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Gosar, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Ray, I would like to start by again asking for all the surveillance footage from January 6th and the preceding days to be released to the public. I am told there are thousands of hours of footage.
Oh, wow.
Now, Director Ray, yes or no, would you agree that the public has a right to know the truth and that the information and footage should be made public?
information we produce has to be done in coordination with the prosecutor.
Yes or no? I mean,
well, I don't. So respectfully, I don't think it is a yes or no question.
Well, okay.
We have to be very careful to protect the integrity of the ongoing cases.
Well,
and there are very
let me
specific
recapturing
rules.
my time here. Democratic members, you just heard of Congress, have made some outlandish allegations about reconnaissance tours and even filed ethics complaints against members, including me, which was recently thrown out. Mr. Ray, would you agree, yes or no, that the video footage is often the best evidence documenting an event?
Video footage is often very useful information to document events.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Director Ray, do you believe that security footage of a public building, of public officials paid for by public taxpayers, potentially containing exculpatory evidence should be provided to public defenders?
Well, I think what information is provided to public defenders in criminal cases should be done under the rules of discovery, which are spelled out and are more complicated than I could cover in the time that we have here.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Director Ray, now switching points. Can you confirm that no one inside the Capitol on January 6th was arrested for carrying or using a firearm?
Whoa. If you're going to take over the government, you should probably
have one. Yeah.
Sir, my understanding is that there has been at least one individual who was arrested for having a firearm inside the Capitol. There are, I think, a small number of other cases, local cases. By that I mean MPD arrests.
Can you provide that information for us in written testimony, please?
I'm happy to have my staff follow up with yours.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We'll circle back on that.
Director Ray, can you confirm that nobody arrested for the involvement in the January 6th riot has been charged with the crime of insurrection?
Sir, as I think I said in response to one of your colleagues, sitting here right now, I don't believe there have been insurrection charges in any of the indictments so far. But again, with 500 cases, I want to be sure that I
believe you're right. Yeah, I agree. So now switching gears again. Director Ray, do you know who executed Ashley Babbitt?
Oh, whoa.
No, I don't know the name of the person who.
So do you agree that Ashley Babbitt was unarmed?
That's a lie.
No, I really can't weigh in on the facts and circumstances of that case. As you may know, that was investigated by the D.C. Metro's Internal Affairs Department with the DOJ Civil Rights Division and the U.S. Attorney's Office, and the FBI was not the investigative agency.
Yeah, it's disturbing. The Capitol Police officer that did the shooting, Ashley Babbitt, appeared to be hiding, lying in wait, and then gave no warning before killing her. Question again, why hasn't that officer that executed Ashley Babbitt been named when police officers around the country are routinely identified after a shooting?
Yes, right.
Comment on that case. It's not one that we've been directly involved in, so I really can't agree or disagree with your characterization.
Sounds good. Do you approve of lethal force against unarmed citizens, particularly a 110-pound woman with no warning, no use of non-lethal force prior and while lying in wait?
Not going to try to answer a hypothetical, especially one based on a case that I just said.
That's not a hypothetical.
That's actually
what
happened.
Yeah, that's what happened.
That's a good job there.
My gosh.
That's actually what happened, Director Ray.
Yeah, that's not hypothetical. She's actually dead now. And did tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, served her country, and then just summarily ended her life for no apparent reason. I mean, was she breaking in? Yes. Yes, she was. And she shouldn't have been. But deadly force was not called for in that circumstance, as far as I can tell. And we stand behind police, and that's the reason we haven't harped on that much. But because the other side has blown this completely out of proportion, calling it an insurrection when not a single person has been charged with being part of an insurrection. Not one. Okay, so if you're going to blow it completely out of proportion, we need to ask some important questions. Like, why did this guy shoot her in the throat? Why? There was no reason for it. 888-900-3393. Also at Pat Unleashed on Twitter. And as far as the Second Amendment being about cannons and that from day one, play the Biden section where he talks about day one what was prohibited under the Second Amendment.
The Second Amendment from the day it was passed limited the type of people who could own a gun.
No, it did
What
not.
type of weapon you could own.
No.
You couldn't buy a cannon. Those who say
Okay. You couldn't buy a cannon. Yes, you could. Yes, you could. Private citizens could and did own cannons. Now, why does he use cannon? Because that was the heavy artillery at the time. And you could own a cannon. In fact, the privateers did own cannons. Privateers were private ships that patrolled the seas, the coast, and helped the official U.S. Navy defeat the British. They enlisted certain. In fact, I don't think they were even enlisted. The privateers. They did register with the government, but all of their stuff was theirs. They were private citizens, and they privately owned cannons. It was their property, and there was no law against them having it. So don't tell me that you couldn't own cannons, because private citizens could and did own cannons. It's just a lie from start to finish. And there's no law. Historians have said that they can find no evidence of any law that banned certain types of weapons in the beginning of this country. None. They said there might have been some local statute or something somewhere, but that's almost impossible to track down. But the federal government had no restrictions on what kind of weapon you could use. And nobody has challenged Biden on this. Nobody said, hey, cite the law or the clause in the Constitution that prohibited private citizens from owning any sort of weapon.
Yeah.
It didn't exist. And they can't.
In fact, oh my gosh, I got to look this up. And if I'm wrong, I apologize. But I'm going to try to, before the end of the show, make sure I got this. There was a guy who invented a pretty advanced gun before the Revolutionary War, demonstrated it to Congress, and never got the money to, they didn't pay him
produce
for this.
it.
Right. So in other words, the point I'm making is they knew these weapons existed.
Right.
These kind of I got to find this. This is one of those lost stories in history. So in other words, if someone comes to you with the argument that the Second Amendment in no way applied to more advanced type guns, wrong. They knew these things existed at the time. I've got to find this story.
That's great.
Yeah.
But the lies continue. They don't care about actual facts. Don't bother them, Keith, in fact, with actual facts. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. I just want you to know that my straw man argument is that you can't own a nuclear weapon. 888-900-3393. By the way, the first to be sentenced in the January 6th insurrection is Morgan Lloyd, who was initially accused of 4 federal crimes, but court filings indicate now she reached a deal with the prosecutors who recommended, and she received, 3 years of probation, a $500 fine to cover damages to the Capitol complex, and 40 hours of community service.
So this lady tried to take over the United States government. Right?
No.
So she should probably get like the death penalty.
No.
Or maybe life in prison.
No.
What do you think's appropriate for
you know
what she did?
though?
For what she did.
Here's what she did.
What?
She went into the Capitol building.
The Capitol.
Didn't break anything.
Okay.
But
How long
she
was she
stayed
there?
for a total of, get this.
A decade.
No.
Okay.
Somewhat less than a decade.
So somewhat less than a decade.
We're talking about 10 minutes.
Talking about 10
full minutes. In fact, she won't admit to this, but I think it was closer to 10 minutes and 22 seconds before she left that building. So, thank goodness, the streets are safe again from Morgan Lloyd. Who knows what she'd do next? What if she showed up at your door and knocked on it?
Oh.
How scared would you be? And if you opened the door and she entered, and stayed there for 10 minutes, can you imagine the horror of that situation? You can't. You can't imagine it. But that's what the Capitol went through.
Wow.
So
she got
3 years of probation.
Community service.
Community service.
That's how serious the government looks at her offenses.
But get this.
What?
A $500 fine. $500.
Well then.
Yeah.
And that was That wasn't even a fine for a crime. I think that was just to cover cleanup costs at the Capitol.
Well, they said they're putting it toward the $1.5 million damages that the Capitol incurred that day.
Okay.
Remember, the official count was $1.5 million. Then the next week, they started babbling about $30 million or $40 million in damages, and people reminded them the official government estimate.
Nice.
Was $1.5 million.
That's fun.
So
okay, all right. By the way, a little housekeeping here. Joseph Belton, he invented a repeating rifle in 1777 while we were at war with Britain. He demonstrated it to the Board of War, which included John Adams. Let's see, I've lost my place here, but a couple other founding fathers. And so, when were the Bill of Rights ratified? 1791.
Yes.
Right. That's when they did that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So obviously they knew of the capable weaponry at the time because 14 years before the Second Amendment was codified into law, demonstrated for the same great men that approved
really
the Bill of Rights.
That's interesting.
They had seen Joseph Belton's. I'll tweet this out. You can look for it at Pat Unleashed. This is a fun fact.
Was it almost like a Gatling gun?
Yeah, well,
kind of
no,
thing?
I don't think so. That's not the way this is described here.
It's a repeating.
Yeah, so this is the argument when someone says there's no way the founding fathers could have seen the kind of weapons we have today. Yeah, because they did.
Yeah, they saw more advanced weapons than you would imagine them
Yep.
with. So
Repeating flintlock muskets. That's what it is.
888-933-93. Much more on the way, including some actual good news that we'll share with you coming up. Got some tweets here. Planet of the Mams. Excuse me, it's ma'am.
Excuse me, it's ma'am. It is ma'am.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just paranoid. But it sounded like Joe Biden had the blood of patriots dominating every thought in his mind. Am I the only one slightly freaking out over this?
That's true. He said it a couple of times in that
Yeah, he
clip.
did. He did.
Yikes.
And he was kind of saying, and look, when we come for you, there's nothing you can do about it
Drop a
because you
nuke.
don't have F-15s or nukes.
I'm going to
We
start
do.
saving up for an F-15 because that felt like a threat.
It did feel like a threat. Conservatarian lady, the Constitution doesn't say what firearm I can own. It also doesn't say the government should provide health care, yet you push that on us too. Weird.
Huh.
Exactly right.
Interesting.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Smoke it.
Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Oh, that's bumming it.
That's right. You got that. That's probably my favorite sound clip going right now.
So as the U.S. government continues to remind us that the biggest threat we face is white supremacy. White supremacists, man, they're a scourge on this nation. And they really are.
Well,
There are just so few of them.
But we know that in the BCS championship game, it's white supremacy versus the Delta variant.
Wow, who will win that match?
I don't know, but Dr. Fauci.
I got to tell you, my money's on white supremacy.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think
so. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. They got more experience.
That's true, but the
You
young
know?
upstart, the Delta variant,
The Delta variant doesn't even know where it's from. Is it from India? I don't know. Is it from the UK? Who knows?
Oh, we've already discovered it's from Hartsfield International Airport in Atlanta. That's where
Oh,
their
okay.
Delta hub is.
Now
It's
that
based
makes sense.
Right there.
That makes total sense. So the government has found a boogeyman to parade out there in front of us. Paul Miller, who sometimes dressed as the Joker, face paint and all. Other times he wore army green tactical gear with a red armband adorned with a swastika. Okay, so is he a nice guy? Is he a guy you want to, have a cup of cocoa with in the morning? Probably not.
He sounds like a winner.
Yeah, he does. But in every video, Miller goes between chats on Omegle. Are you familiar with Omegle? It's a
Not at all.
website that randomly pairs people together.
And
then you start talking to each other.
You say mingle or meagle?
Omegle.
Meagle.
Omegle. I've never heard of it.
I haven't either. No.
But sometimes he appears on that website and he waves a gun and makes hateful statements. So
he waves a gun?
Yeah.
And he makes.
But nobody's in the room with him. We're talking about people online, but I guess it frightens them.
So wait, if you wave a gun and don't make hateful statements, is that better than if you make hateful statements but don't wave a gun? Is it like a magic combination? If you do both of those, then
yeah. Well, it just makes it so exponentially worse that
okay,
this guy should be locked up, and in fact, he has been.
Oh, wow!
But here's what he said to a group of young teenage boys: "Do you think we should gas the Jews?" Now that's horrific. It's really awful.
That is bad.
Then he said, "Ship them all back to Africa, make them slaves again." Referred to blacks with the N-word. Then he emphatically said white power while raising his arm in a Nazi-like salute.
Okay, all this is gross and terrible human behavior.
But
what
is it protected by the First Amendment?
I thought it. Well, let me
Yeah,
look. I don't
you
know.
think again, my friend, because
what?
on Tuesday, the guy was arrested. Okay, and on Tuesday, he pleaded guilty to 3 felony counts for possession of an unregistered firearm. So because he was making these statements online, in comes the FBI to check out his home. In March, the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force took his threats seriously. During a raid of his Fort Lauderdale, Florida home, they discovered, get this.
Okay, what?
You talk about stashes, caches of weaponry. You know, you hear about some of these people with hundreds, if not thousands of weapons. Nobody needs that many weapons.
Yeah.
Right? You can only shoot 1 or 2 at a time. Unless you use your toes or something. I guess you could have gun in each hand and then pull the trigger with both of your toes.
I bet that's the thing.
Maybe you could shoot up to 4 weapons at a time, but you don't need 5.
Yeah, don't
okay?
discount that as a possibility, Pat.
This guy had a rifle with, get this, almost 850 rounds of ammunition.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, he was planning to kill 850 people. So he pleaded guilty to 3 felony counts for possession of an unregistered firearm and ammunition and possession of a weapon as a felon. He faces a maximum 30 years in federal prison.
Oh, what?
Here's the thing. The reason he couldn't have a firearm was because he made it at home. You know, we were talking about the home kits a while ago. And are they legal right now?
Why do you have to register that? What? No. What is this?
Right.
Hold on. No.
Mm-hmm.
No. That's my answer, Your Honor. No. No, you don't have to. No.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have to? Hey, boy, the FBI's going to love my searches. Okay, do you have to register a manufacturer? I know people are screaming at the radio right now. I don't even know. Homemade firearm? I should have done that.
Yeah.
All right.
There was a word for it because we just talked about this.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm stumped on right now.
We're making it.
Well, you guys can tweet.
Was that Rob?
I don't know. He's talking so fast. What?
Ghost
guns. Thank you. Thank you.
The scary, scary name of ghost guns.
Boo.
During an interview with law enforcement following his arrest, Miller said he bought $500 worth of ammunition and rifle parts from a gun show shortly after he and his family received threats from Antifa and Black Lives Matter.
Well, then.
He said he watched YouTube tutorials on how to assemble the rifle. The FBI director says domestic terrorism metastasizing is right now throughout the United States, and here's the proof. A guy who likes to dress up like the Joker from Batman.
Okay, what a loser.
And Miller said, I'm scared. I'm living alone. I don't have anybody with me. Somebody's going to, these people are trying to kill me. Well, would it surprise anyone if he's making these kinds of statements?
Sure.
To believe that Antifa and Black Lives Matter members are threatening him? That could absolutely be happening.
I mean, he sounds like just a loser.
Yeah, and he's got a couple of screws loose.
Yeah.
But
I've yet to hear the reason he's behind bars for 30 years potentially.
Yeah, me too, because you can legally own a firearm. Now, this one he built at home, but I think that, again, isn't that legal? And weren't they just yelling about that we need to make it illegal to do these ghost guns? Rob, do you know, can you remember, are the ghost guns illegal already? See when you.
Not sure.
Not sure. Okay. So anyway, he's in jail for things he was saying. He was speaking mean things.
Oh, see.
And look, it is despicable. He's not a good guy, in my humble opinion. But can you arrest him for that? Because he was saying mean things about minorities? Does anybody remember this particular video from, I think they were in Tulsa, and they had a black militant group that was standing in a field somewhere, and they were talking about what's to come in this country. Listen to this. These people, by the way, these are not people who've been put behind bars. They're not facing 30 years in prison. Check this out.
Now, because when it's time, it's that hand. Because that time is coming with the rat-a-tat-tat. When the time of coming and rat-a-tat-tat, that will kill everything.
Rat-a-tat-tat.
They ain't
Oh, that's right. Pause it for a second.
What did he say?
It's coming. The time is coming when we're going to kill every white thing in sight.
Oh, no.
Yeah. They're going to just start killing every white person they see. All right, let's check out the rest of this.
Because all what you have done to us, all what you've done with a 6,000 year span,
6,000 years.
600 million of us, and 480 years in particular, and 150 million in the past. That time, the day is up, because this is the time, and this is the state of the race of dress, because they are a race. They're trying to hold on to power, because race has a beginning and an ending, and your ending time has been up since 1914. No good Peckerwood. No time
No
of
good
the
Peckerwood.
rebirth of the black nation.
Proud of that line.
And the salvation of us in the hells of North America.
Okay, so they're talking about what he says there is white people had a beginning and they're going to have an end because we're going to bring about the end of white people. He's talking about exterminating the white race.
No good.
The FBI knock on his door afterwards? Nope. No.
Wait, what? That guy didn't get a knock on the door?
No. Hello, Mr. Militant guy? Could we come in and have a word?
No good, Peckerwood.
Hey, that rhyme, that's really good. That's
Use
good.
it again. Use it again.
Yeah.
I swear.
Jeez. But this guy, this crazy guy, and he probably does need mental help, right? Get him mental help. Don't put him in prison for 30 years. He hasn't done anything.
Yeah. Ghost guns are legal.
They are legal.
For non-commercial purposes, Rob
What
just told
the
me.
hell, then?
And then I found this thing in United States Congress. I mean, a bill died that would have banned them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
So
what's
why
illegal,
is this guy in jail?
It's because it's no longer in fashion to dress up like the Joker. What do I win? That's your answer.
Congratulations, because that's a...
If you'd done this a couple years ago, then it'd be like, oh, look, there's a movie coming out and stuff. And,
yeah, right.
But now it's not cool.
Right, yeah. So he's been cited by watchdog groups as an extremist using social media to spread racist, anti-Semitic, and homophobic ideology.
Wait, there's nothing illegal about that.
I know it. Last November, the Anti-Defamation League mentioned him in a blog post about extremist trolls on Omegle, labeling him a, quote, Florida-based white supremacist, unquote. So fortunately, he's off the streets now. These black militants still wandering the streets. Don't worry about them. They've just promised to exterminate all white people. Yeah, that's fine, though. Don't worry about it. Again, white people deserve it because you got privilege. And what else do we have? We have
privilege and privilege and
supremacy
and stuff.
And we
get everything we want.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I live in a mansion that's...
Do you?
Yeah, the walls and the floors, and even in my grass, I got tired of mowing it. It's just plated in gold, right? Because I'm white,
right.
And I snapped my fingers. I said, let it be so, and it happened.
And you deserve it.
Thank you.
Because, again, you're white.
I'm white.
You're white.
Okay.
So.
Have we reached an agreement here?
I think we have.
Okay, very good.
And it's because of that attitude that white people have that they need to be killed. All of them.
Yeah, and it sucks that we didn't have to work for anything that we have in life.
Oh,
either.
it's all given to us.
And it kind of, I kind of sit back and I think, is it right for me to have all the great things that I have.
And then do you laugh? Do you just laugh? And say,
Yeah.
of course.
Like I go,
who gives a rat's ass?
Yeah, I sit back. I sit back and I think, man, some people work their whole lives for this, but man, I'm just living the good life out here on my back patio and just sipping my Jim Beam and just enjoying this cool breeze tonight. And I got all this, kids.
Cool breeze. Where do you live? You don't live in Texas.
Because I'm white, y'all. That's why it's windy in our backyard and the rest of the neighborhood's suffering.
Oh, okay. It's only hot and humid for other people, not for whites.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Wish that was true.
No, there was a breeze
I don't want
last
other
night.
people to suffer. I'd like it, though, if we just could all have a cool breeze.
Though, the last 2 nights, we actually have had a decent breeze. You should get out in the back patio.
I guess so.
You gotta sit back there and watch sports, Pat, and enjoy it because you know what? You're white and that's your privilege.
Well, I have people that carry me. I don't walk out to the people carry me out. While I have beautiful women on either side.
They feed you grapes,
and yes, and fan me with
hold
palm
on.
leaves.
So you got 2 chicks fanning you with palm leaves.
Right.
You got another chick just dropping grapes.
Third
in her
one
mouth.
dropping grapes.
Wow, you're more privileged than me.
Then my wife is like, "Who are these girls that are carrying you outside?" I'm like, "Mind your own business."
And you go, see, my line would be, I'm white.
Yeah, duh.
I swear. This is how a lot of people think that we live because we're white. Honestly, this has been a.
Do you ever think we
trying
get to the
day.
point where a white person just goes to jail for saying things, not necessarily even making threats, just saying ugly things that nobody likes that should be protected, you would think, by the First Amendment. And then a black militant group who is promising to end all white people. That's perfectly fine. We don't do a thing about it.
Feels like we're on other countries' timelines
Doesn't
right
it?
about now.
Yeah.
That have been down this road before.
Right.
That sure does. You been watching Loki, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't
You?
tell me. No, I'm one behind.
Okay.
Just if the timeline came to mind there.
I'm one behind, too. I didn't get... maybe I'm even 2, because I don't think I saw... No, I saw last week. Is this the third one?
It just aired the third one yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah. But it just feels like we're living...
Yes,
We've been
an
here before.
alternate
It was just in another country.
Right. Let me tell you about Rough Greens. Rough Greens, all you do is take the package, sprinkle it over your dog's food a little bit at a time, and your dog will love this stuff. But more importantly, it's really good for them. It's got all the essential vitamins and minerals and probiotics, plus the omega oils. Basically everything your dog needs to be healthier and more active. My dog loved this stuff right from the beginning. And I was really kind of surprised because, to a human, I'm not sure it looks like the most appetizing meal. But she absolutely loves it. Now, it doesn't always happen that way, apparently. Keith's dogs, for instance. He only tried it once, though, right?
Yeah. It was
what you should do
quick experience
is order a free bag of Rough Greens and then try it again and see if they'll like it.
Yeah,
Get used to it.
My dogs have a screw loose though. So
Do they?
I don't know.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Like doggy, like owner.
Wait,
kind of thing, But you can get a free bag to try out with your dog. It's about a week's supply, I think, and they'll give it to you for free. All you have to pay for is shipping. Just go to roughgreens.com, RUFF greens.com, or call 833-ROUGH-DOG. Let's see, some odds and ends that we need to get to today. There is a piece of good news. Pretty amazing. The Supreme Court, you remember the cheerleader that badmouthed her school? And she did it on, I don't know, Instagram or Snapchat or, I don't know, Twitter, somewhere. Anyway, on social media, at her house, she complained about the school, said some naughty things about it.
Like bad
F
words.
the school.
Yeah.
Well, they suspended her and kicked her out of school for that. And she sued.
Good.
And it went all the way to the United States Supreme Court, who ruled in her favor. You believe it? Not just barely ruling in her favor. It was 8-1. An 8-1 decision.
8-1.
So...
Wait, who was the one? I'm going to find out. You do the story.
Yeah.
Thomas?
What?
What, Corby?
Clarence Thomas?
Clarence Thomas
was the only opposition to this?
This is too interesting. What's going on? Come on.
That's
Clarence.
bizarre.
All right. That is bizarre because
maybe they have his opposition brief, although I don't.
Yeah, I'll look for it. But first I want to explore this.
Huh.
I mean, that's protected speech. That's private.
Yes!
I'm sure they said that, right? First Amendment.
Yes.
Because there's no way, though. There's no way that the founding fathers could have thought there was dirty words.
No, that's right. That's exactly right. But what they said was students can engage in all kinds of critical or dissenting commentary, whether about the Vietnam War. I don't know why you'd be commenting on the Vietnam War at this point.
Wait, who wrote that opinion?
Oh, that's plumbing.
Right?
Whether it be about the Vietnam War or the student cheerleading team without losing their free speech rights. And it doesn't matter where they say it. Huh, nice. So, yeah, she said F school, F softball, F cheer, F everything. And
that's her right.
And so she was in trouble and expelled. It's just her parents filed a federal lawsuit after the cheerleading coach learned of the post and suspended her from the JV team for a year. Jeez, a year. The school district appealed to the Supreme Court after the Broad Appellate Court said that off-campus student speech was beyond the school's authority to punish. So it just gives me some hope to know that there are just a few little crumbs of liberty left to follow back to the Constitution.
Or trail back home.
Do we have a trail back home? Yes, there's a few crumbs.
Yeah.
Let's keep the crumbs coming,
now,
please.
If she had said F white people,
why, then it wouldn't even be an issue.
F America.
We'd never have this
She would have been probably put in charge of the cheerleading team.
Alito wrote, if today's decision teaches any lesson, it must be that the regulation of many types of off-premises student speech raises serious First Amendment concerns, and school officials should proceed cautiously before venturing into this territory. No, they shouldn't venture into the territory. Stay away from it. If it's away from the school grounds, it's none of your stinking business. That's just, it's madness. And 8 justices agree with that. They've really been together lately.
Yeah.
9-0,
I wonder
8-1.
how they're doing this. Like,
I don't know.
I wonder if they're ruling and then they come back and they go, all right, can I get you on board here to make this a 9-0? You know,
what's it going to take?
Yeah.
To get you into a 9-0 ruling
because
today?
We got to show unity here by bribing each other. No, in dissent, Justice Clarence Thomas wrote that the school was right to suspend Levy because students like her, quote, who are active in extracurricular programs have a greater potential by virtue of their participation to harm those programs. That's gobbledygook.
What?
Come on, Clarence. What's up there? I mean,
that doesn't even make sense.
That's disappointing.
Very.
Wait, and I was not aware of this. I was not aware of this next thing. Thomas has long taken the position that students generally do not have free speech rights. What the hell? Where? What cases are those? Now all of a sudden it's like, okay, I can't. 2021, stop doing this to me.
That's
Stop it.
Bizarre.
Stop it.
So Clarence Thomas
apparently
is the opposition on that, but Sonia Sotomayor votes with the majority?
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
It's a madhouse!
Mm-hmm.
A madhouse!
In so many different ways.
That doesn't sound like, that quote does not sound like all students are the same there, right? In his mind. Hey, if you're in extracurricular activities, you have a higher standard to be held to.
Yeah.
No.
You can't swear.
Yeah, no.
If you're on the cheerleading team, I'm sorry. I can't abide it. You cannot swear.
Now, all this being said, Clarence Thomas, please don't go anywhere.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. One of your pat heads yesterday said they saw Clarence Thomas' name trending yesterday on Twitter, and they were like, "Oh no, what's happening?" And I guess it was his birthday. Yeah. So that was good. Woo, 73. Wow, he's still
pretty
spry.
young.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good.
And it seems like he's been there forever, and he's still just 73. Not bad.
Yeah. Don't go anywhere.
By the way, the other little tidbit that's sad: John McAfee committed suicide apparently in a Barcelona jail.
Oh yeah, that's what it was.
Wow, you just took a really deep breath.
I got sinus issues. Things are blooming. You know, it's been raining a lot. Now everything's coming out here in Dallas.
Now, he did make a comment about any potential suicide, and we'll share that with you coming up here in a minute. Also, we got to get into the Don Lemon thing if we can handle it. That guy is the worst. We'll get into that and a lot more coming up. Plus, they want to change your body so you don't eat meat.
Pat Gray.
Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
All right. Welcome back. 888-900-3393. Also at Pat Unleashed on Twitter. John McAfee, who is a unique individual, I think you could say. Strange guy. Do you remember a few years ago when we were on Glenn's show, I think, we interviewed him.
Yeah.
And this was around the time the documentary came out that he may have killed his next door neighbor. I mean, there's some serious evidence that he had something to do with it.
Yeah.
But he didn't pay for that crime. What he did pay for was tax evasion, of course. Just like that's what they always get him on. You can get away with murder, but you can't get away with stiffing the IRS. Anyway, he was in jail in Barcelona, Spain. Then he was being extradited to the United States, and that supposedly, I don't know, prompted his suicide. Who knows? However, he once claimed that he was getting threats from the U.S. government, that and that if it ever happened that he turned up apparently committing suicide, he didn't. He was whacked, was the word he used. Oh. And then he had the word whacked tattooed on his right arm as proof. So anyway, he's in a place, some other place, not this one.
It's in a better place, right?
But I think he's with
a better place.
Well, I don't know.
Much better. Nah.
I'm not sure about that.
So much better. John McAfee.
I don't want to judge his soul. I'm not sure which place he's in, but he's in a different place. So one that Jeffrey, what's his face, probably right next to him, and maybe they've got some things in common that they can talk about. I don't know. You
think there's a lot of talking going on in that place?
No, there's a lot of screaming.
Yeah, so somebody
Weeping.
Pointed out
wailing.
What's that?
Gnashing of teeth.
Oh.
That sort of thing. That's what's going on there.
Okay.
Anyway, what were you saying?
Are pickle forks involved?
Yes.
There is I don't know. There's a video. See, our old buddy Bragg Staggs, he tweeted out something this morning of how John McAfee posted a video about how the deep state is controlling everything. And anyway, and like a week later, he was arrested. And that's where he has been for the last year.
Interesting.
Well, then.
Isn't that fascinating? Who knows? Britney Spears also making headlines again. Haven't heard much talk about her in the last, 10 years or so, but she's trying now to get out of that conservatorship where her dad controlled her finances. Apparently, it went way beyond her finances. Not just control of her money, but apparently it was to the point where they forced her to take birth control pills. They told her who she could see and hang out with and who she couldn't. They even told her what dance moves she could make and what she couldn't.
What?
Yeah.
How old is she?
She's got to be in her late 30s now, right?
38. And still to this
39.
day, her parents control
her dad does, yeah.
39. Wow. Okay.
When she kind of wigged out back in, what was that, the mid-2000s?
Yeah.
Maybe 2007 or 8 or whatever it was. And then she shaved her head
Yeah.
and did all those weird things. That's when they took away her right to control her own life. And they gave it to her dad, and he's had it ever since.
Oh.
It's not amazing? And apparently it's been really bad. And the Free Britney thing that's online is kind of a real thing.
Sure.
She should be freed. So we'll see what happens there. Meanwhile, let's go to Steve in Washington. Hey, Steve, you're on the Blaze.
Morning, guys. How's it going?
Good.
So I just wanted to comment about what we were talking about with Justice Thomas about the young lady at school.
Oh, yeah.
I'm somewhat familiar with those sorts of situations being in the military, and I kind of see what he was saying, but I don't really agree with his decision. But like in her case, she's a cheerleader.
Right.
You know, if she's in uniform or at an official school event or something, absolutely, she should not be talking like that. You know, she's representing her school.
Yeah.
But in this situation, she's at home.
Right.
You know, she's on her own time.
Right.
She can say whatever she wants. So I see kind of where he's going. Don't agree with his decision.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, I got a hypothetical that was thrown at me in journalism school, and it was about, let's say you're a weatherman for a local TV station, and you're at a bar. Well, I wanted to see, you know, just if they're bad-mouthing, fill in the blank. It doesn't matter what it is, you know. Do they have that right? I can't remember what the outcome was. I think it was a court case, but I didn't pay attention in college. So
yeah, well, when you're bad-mouthing the school, you're not wearing the uniform of the school. It doesn't have anything to do with this school, except you're criticizing it. You've got no right to tell her what she can and can't do.
I agree.
It's un-American. So that was a great decision by the Supreme Court. They've made a few of them lately, but also mixed it in with a terrible decision on Obamacare. I don't know how that continues to exist, but they make sure it does every single time.
You're going to make me get the sniffles again. How's that happen where Obamacare is routinely held up by John Roberts in his court?
John Roberts. Yeah, Supreme Court justice that may or may not have something to hide.
What?
Who knows?
Whoa.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know. Did I say that out loud?
Yeah.
Is this thing on?
I think it is.
That's
weird. Crazy.
All right.
That's crazy, Jay.
You read about that? You see it in the paper? Kevin, you see it? You see it in the paper today?
That's crazy, Jay. Sorry.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
All right. Margaret Hoover was on the Don Lemon show.
No, it was her show.
It's on
he's
her
a guest
show.
on hers.
He's a guest on
Yeah.
hers. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right. Okay. Do you even know who Margaret Hoover is?
You know why I know who Margaret Hoover is? Because every time she pops up, I always remember a story that Glenn told on the air back in the day.
About Margaret Hoover?
Yeah. Right? Wasn't it her? Okay, isn't her granddad or great-granddad?
Herbert Hoover.
And she said that he wasn't a progressive.
Yes, that's right.
And so whenever she pops up, I always think about him telling that story.
So here's what Don Lemon had to say about Trump and Biden. She actually holds his feet to the fire.
Yeah, she's a good interviewer.
Here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Check this out.
2 hours a night, every weekday, you will sit behind the anchor desk. And I want to show the audience some of the things that you said during the Trump presidency.
Oh, boy. You are the commander-in-chief, the president of the United States of America, the greatest country on earth. Act like it.
This is CNN Tonight. I'm Don Lemon. The president of the United States is racist. A lot of us already knew that.
The president of the United States is a fraud and a con man.
When you interject that emotion and you call the president of the United States a con man, how is that different from the emotion that Fox News interjects when they're covering Biden?
Yeah. Well, because I'm coming from a place of truth. Because when I say that the president of the United States is racist, I went on after that to give the evidence, right? I could have started, I probably did, with the housing discrimination lawsuit that he and his father faced. I could have done the Central Park 5 or the exonerated 5. I think I probably went on to talk about his role in birtherism. And so I gave the evidence of that.
What does his role in birtherism have to do with being a racist? What does that have to do with anything? That's bizarre. What race are you if you weren't born in Hawaii, but we think you were born in some foreign land? That is such stupidity. What a lot. Oh, because mine's based in truth. Is it? Really? Get out of here. It's based in your stupid opinions and you're completely uninformed. And you've got and what I did was I went on to show the proof. Really? How come you've never done that with Joe Biden? How is it possible that you've never questioned whether or not Joe Biden
some
is
evidence
racist?
over there, Mr. Magician?
There
what are you
might
doing?
be a couple of things.
The other portion is a lot of people don't know how to register. Not everybody in the community, in the Hispanic and the African American community, particularly in rural areas that are distant and/or inner city districts know how to get online.
Yeah, that is absolutely.
I'll do this.
Astounding case. So minorities can't get online because they're too dumb.
I mean, you got the first sort of mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean and nice-looking guy. I mean, that's a storybook, man.
It's a storybook, man. You can't find black people like that. Come on.
In Delaware, the largest growth in population is Indian Americans moving from India. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven
Are you joking?
or a Dunkin' Donuts
What?
unless you have a slight Indian accent.
You got to be joking.
I'm not joking.
No.
Nope.
Okay, guys.
Nope.
I stand corrected. He's not joking. He really is a racist. All right, let's see what else Don had to say.
Okay.
When I say that the president of the United States is a fraud and a con, that was looking at his taxes and how and his history of litigation and not paying people. These are all facts. I don't do opinion.
No, they're not all facts.
I don't do opinion.
Okay, I can't take it. I can't take it. Let's see if we can get him on the show and really call him on that bull crap. Okay. I would love to pin him down to, why do you ignore everything Joe Biden has ever said? That is clearly racist. It's clearly more racist than anything you could cite with Donald Trump.
So I'm inviting Don Lemon onto the show to talk about racist Joe Biden.
Yes.
And do you have the same standard?
Racist, or the proof that he has about Donald Trump being a racist? Because I'm sick and tired of it. I just can't take it. That nobody calls him by all that is holy. It is so clear that Joe Biden is a racist, and I don't know where they get this stuff on Trump. They usually cite the Mexicans are racist or rapists thing that he said when he came down.
Somebody's doing the raping.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He said that inarticulately, but what he was saying was some of the Mexicans coming across the border have, bad intention.
And he said that because he deals in fact, Don.
Amazing. 888-900-3393. Also at Pat Unleashed on Twitter. We got this scientist also to show you who has a plan on how to stop us from eating meat. This is absolutely astounding.
Gotta stop with this. I can't.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
So I'll give two examples. So one is that people eat too much meat, right? And if they were to cut down on their consumption on meat, then they would it would actually really help the planet. But people are not willing to give up meat. Some people will be willing to, but other people, they may be willing to, but they have a weakness of will. They say, wow, this steak is just too juicy. I can't do it. I'm one of those, by the way. So, but so here's the thought,
Don't lie.
right? So it turns out that we know a lot about, we have these intolerance to, for example, I have milk intolerance. And there's some people are intolerant to crayfish. So possibly we can use human engineering to make it the case that we're intolerant to certain kinds of meat, to certain kinds of bovine proteins. And there's actually analogs of this in life. There's this thing called the Lone Star tick, where if it bites you, you will become allergic to meat. I can sort of describe the mechanism. So that's something that we can do through human engineering. We can kind of possibly address really big world problems through human engineering.
Help us! What?
You're just saying that out loud? Like you're going to re-engineer human beings?
Human engineering, that is something we can do.
Wow. And this is a bioethicist? Is that what he is?
Sure. Yeah, something. Yeah, that's something along those lines. He's fun. That's terrifying.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I'm not, please hear me. I'm not saying this. But wouldn't that be interesting if the vaccine made changed your body to the point where you didn't fill in the blank, tolerate meat, fill in the blank. Again, I'm not saying that at all.
You're not saying that it's doing that.
No, exactly. But this guy is suggesting that we could do that. We could human engineer.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty amazing.
Deep breaths. By the way.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, Glenn's got an interesting TV program last night, a special on all the ways they're trying to, why the price of beef is going up and what is behind it. So if you haven't subscribed to blazetv.com/Pat, you need to do so. But that's a little bit terrifying right there.
Well, it would think about the convenience of not having to worry about whether you should eat beef or not because you're allergic to it and nobody can. So then you don't have to worry about the price of it. You don't have to worry about how unhealthy it is. You don't have to worry about any of that. He is offering us a way out of meat eating.
This umbrella that started about quarter century ago under the guise of global warming and then climate change, it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger of all the things that we need to change in our life if we love the planet and our children's future on it.
Just re-engineer us. That's all you have to do.
And now we're to the point where
change our
about
DNA.
Changing our DNA.
That's not a problem.
If you love the planet.
Jeez, I can't take it. 888-933-93. Also at Pat Unleashed on Twitter. But here's some good news. People are really concerned about, making sure that you have a job that fits your skill set.
Yeah.
That you're comfortable with. That your employer is on the same wavelength as you. And
a lot of people looking for jobs these days, and a lot of jobs are available.
And Indeed is one of those companies that helps people find jobs.
Right. They are.
And here's their latest ad that lists some jobs that are available.
Wait, what?
Hi.
No. Hi.
Interview tips for trans and non-binary people.
Hi, I'm Taylor.
Hi, Taylor.
An address.
Okay.
Hi, I'm here for my interview.
He's practicing.
That's a big guy.
Did his nails or
I'm Dorian,
her nails?
and I use the pronouns he, him. Are you comfortable sharing how you would like to be addressed?
Thank you for asking. I use they, them pronouns.
Great. Well, I'd love to hear more about your skill set.
Sure.
Can you roll that back to where he's sitting in front of the potential employer? And this is how the potential employer addresses himself? Really? With your preferred pronouns? Is that really a thing? Are companies doing that?
Probably, because they've all been going through the training. How does any work get done in America anymore when they're going through training for trans sensitivity and CRT bullcrap and white privilege and hate yourself if you're white? When does work get done in this country? But I guarantee you that's happening in interviews all over the place. And if I sat down and the potential boss of mine said, or human resources or whatever, said, hey, I'm he, him. Are you comfortable in how you want to be addressed?
Unbelievable.
I'm walking out. This isn't the place for me.
Can we rewind to the place where, that's astounding.
Here for my interview.
Here we go.
Taylor, what's up, Taylor? Good luck today, Taylor. Check your nails. They look nice, though.
I'm Dorian, and I use the pronouns he, him. Are you comfortable sharing how you would like to be addressed?
I'm Dorian, and I use the pronouns.
Thank you for
he,
asking.
him.
I use they, them pronouns.
Great.
I use they, them pronouns. Okay. All right. Well, I'm not going to call you they because you're only one person. So.
Hey, there's a lot there.
Excuse me, it's ma'am.
No,
it is ma'am.
It is not. It is they.
Again, we're turning everything upside down because 0.7% of the population might or might not be offended by you calling them the wrong pronoun.
Help us.
You would think we didn't have any other problems to deal with. You would think everything is so perfect that now we can even pay attention to a pronoun situation that you might have.
Yep.
And whether or not you're sensitive to he, him, she, hers, and it to the point where a potential employer, as you sit down for an interview, says, hi, I'm Dorian. He, him are my preferred pronouns. Are you comfortable sharing your preferred pronouns?
Don't forget.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Don't forget
they, them. I really like they, them a lot.
Tips from Paul, my friend Paul. Go with he's going to go with he, them, hers, and then get super pissy when someone slips up. I identify as female, but only in the possessive, you bigot. Don't forget, mix that into your daily work life.
But only in the possessive.
And if you screw this up, so help me, I'm going to HR, and you know Dorian's in HR. He'll deal with you. That's right.
Love that. That might be the quintessential response in this whole madness of pronouns thing. So great.
The world that we are in right now is bizarro world doesn't even fit it anymore.
No, it doesn't come close. All right. Now, if you want a realtor that's probably not going to give you their preferred pronouns the second you meet them, go to Real Estate Agents I Trust. Okay. I'm trusting that they're not going to do that. Real Estate Agents I Trust are fans of the show, and they share a lot in common with you, and they're just the best agents in the area. They really know their business. They know what people are looking for. If you're selling your home, they can give you really good advice on, the colors that you want to repaint if you're going to do that, or replacing countertops or flooring or any of those things that can cost a lot of money, and then sometimes you don't get your money back from doing that kind of thing. But these realtors will be able to advise you on that. Yeah, you'll get your money back for sure in this, and usually that's kitchens and bathrooms, right? Remodeling and putting your attention on those areas. It can make a huge difference in your life, and especially if you're relocating and you need to sell your home that you're in now and buy a new one. You want somebody you can trust. Real Estate Agents I Trust. The name says it all. realestateagentsitrust.com.
This is Pat Gray Unleashed.
Okay. In the transgender world, we've got these issues of athletics and all of that. Now, what do the rest of Americans think about all of that, of transgender women competing against biological women? Well, they did a poll, and the number of people who oppose biological men playing in women's sports outnumbers those who favor it 2.4 to 1. So almost 2.5 to 1. 26% of people who strongly believe men playing against women would have a negative impact, compared to only 11% who strongly believe it would have a positive impact. Overall, though, a majority, 53%, oppose allowing men who consider themselves transgender women to compete against biological women. So it's 53-26. And then the rest are like, I don't know. I don't know.
So wait a minute.
I don't know.
So
how do you not know?
Very few Americans support this, but still more support men competing against women than support this stupid federal takeover of our elections and voter ID not being required and stuff like that, right? Is that kind of where we're at now?
Yes, absolutely, because it's maybe 26 to 18% there.
Wow.
Crazy.
No,
so at least 53% of us still have our heads on right and understand that there's a really big difference between men and women.
I will say that number should be a lot higher, though.
It should. Yes, it should. Yes, it should.
There's way too many in the I don't know category.
But would it surprise you if it was the opposite now, where 53% supported it? It wouldn't, because the world's gone.
You know what surprises
crazy.
Me these days? Absolutely nothing at all surprises me these days. So you could have read 100-0 in favor of dudes against women.
Would it surprise you to know we're going to be back again tomorrow to finish off the week?
It's Friday.
Probably not, since we do it every week.
Jeffy will be here.
Jeffy will be here. We'll see you then. I'm Pat Gray Unleashed.
Pat Gray, only on the Blaze Radio Network.